The alien race had watched Earth for centuries, their advanced sensors and technologies probing every corner of the planet, every movement of its inhabitants. From their vantage point on their distant homeworld, they observed with a mix of curiosity and condescension. Humanity, to them, was a primitive species, barely crawling out of its cradle. The aliens had seen it all before, dozens of emerging civilizations, each believing they were unique, each eventually falling under the shadow of the far superior alien empire. There was no doubt in the aliens' minds that humanity would follow the same path. Their society was one of remarkable sophistication, a pinnacle of technological and intellectual achievement that spanned millennia. They had long since mastered the secrets of the universe, harnessing energies and manipulating matter in ways that humans could only dream of. Their fleets of warships patrolled the galaxy, ensuring that their dominion remained unchallenged. They had no rivals, no equals, and certainly no threats from a small, blue planet on the fringes of their territory. The very idea was laughable. The aliens' surveillance of Earth painted a clear picture, a species divided by politics, religion, and greed. The humans spent as much time fighting each other as they did trying to advance their technology, which, by the alien standards, was crude and rudimentary. Nuclear weapons, space stations, and rudimentary AI, these were the hallmarks of a species still in its infancy. The alien leaders, comfortable in their knowledge, saw no reason to regard humanity with anything more than passing interest. The humans were a curiosity, nothing more. Certainly not a threat. This sense of superiority bred complacency among the alien leaders. They met in grand chambers, discussing the affairs of the galaxy, humanity barely a footnote in their conversations. Occasionally, they would review the latest reports from their surveillance outposts on Earth, noting the squabbles and conflicts that seemed to define human history. The aliens' only concern was whether humanity would destroy itself before they had a chance to formally bring Earth under their control, as they had done with so many other worlds. The idea of humans challenging their empire was not even considered. But amidst their discussions, small anomalies began to appear in the data. Fleeting blips on their sensors, signals that appeared and vanished almost too quickly to register. The anomalies were subtle, barely perceptible, and easily dismissed as glitches or interference. The aliens had encountered such anomalies before, and they had always turned out to be insignificant. Their technology was infallible. After all, any imperfections were surely on the humans' end. These anomalies were noted, logged, and forgotten. The alien high command had more pressing matters to attend to, and the minor blips were relegated to the background noise of their vast surveillance operations. After all, what could possibly come from Earth that would concern them? The humans were still struggling with basic space travel, still shackled by their primitive understanding of the cosmos. The idea that these anomalies could be anything more than a technical error was absurd. As their discussions continued, the alien leaders remained oblivious to the storm that was slowly building on the horizon. They debated their strategies for galactic expansion, discussed the management of their conquered worlds, and planned the next phase of their eternal dominion. Earth was a backwater, an afterthought. Their attention was focused on grander schemes, and their defenses were poised to repel threats from far more formidable enemies, if any still existed. And so, the alien high command, confident in their superiority and secure in their dominance, continued to monitor Earth from a distance. They had no idea that their underestimation of humanity, their dismissal of those fleeting anomalies, was about to set in motion a chain of events that would shake the foundations of their empire. The calm before the storm was deceptive, and the aliens, in their arrogance, were blind to the danger that was now creeping closer with each passing moment. The alien sensors, always vigilant, suddenly flared to life with activity. An incoming signal, no, a fleet, was detected on the outer edges of their territory. The readings were unlike anything the monitoring stations had encountered before. Human warships, dozens of them, had seemingly materialized from the void. But just as quickly as they appeared, they vanished, leaving the sensors scrambling to reacquire their targets. Confusion spread like wildfire through the monitoring stations. This wasn't supposed to happen. Human technology shouldn't have been capable of such feats. Panic began to ripple through the alien ranks. The reports, though fragmented and inconsistent, all pointed to the same alarming conclusion: a fleet of human warships was advancing, and their movements defied all known laws of warfare. The human ships appeared out of nowhere, only to disappear again, leaving no trace. The sensors were baffled, unable to maintain a lock on the Phantom fleet. Every attempt to track them was met with failure, the ships slipping through their detection grids like ghosts. The alien High Command was immediately informed. What had begun as a minor anomaly had now escalated into a full-blown crisis. An emergency alert was issued across the entire territory. The calm that had pervaded the command centers was shattered, replaced by a frenetic urgency. High-ranking officials, once confident in their technological superiority, now found themselves scrambling to understand the threat that had seemingly emerged from nowhere. The impossible had become reality. Human warships were advancing on their territory, and their defenses were powerless to stop them. Every resource at their disposal was mobilized to make sense of the situation. Data was analyzed, reanalyzed, and questioned at every turn. How had these ships avoided detection until now? What new technology were the humans wielding? The more they dug, the fewer answers they found. The human ships continued their eerie dance, flickering in and out of existence, evading every attempt to pin them down. The aliens, who had never before encountered such elusiveness, began to feel the first tendrils of fear creeping into their collective consciousness. In a desperate bid to counter the threat, the aliens deployed a fleet of their own, one of their most formidable, to intercept the human warships. But as the alien fleet approached the area where the human ships had last been detected, they found nothing but empty space. The human warships were nowhere to be seen. Moments later, they reappeared in a completely different sector, far beyond the reach of the alien fleet. The humans were playing a game the aliens didn't understand, and the realization began to sink in. They were facing a threat unlike any they had ever encountered. The human ships, cloaked in technology that defied comprehension, continued to evade every attempt at engagement. The alien fleet, equipped with the most advanced weaponry and detection systems known in the galaxy, found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. The human warships moved like shadows, reappearing only to strike at vulnerable points before vanishing again. It was as if they were toying with the alien forces, leading them in a deadly chase that was as demoralizing as it was futile. The alien High Command, usually so composed and assured, began to feel the weight of the situation bearing down on them. They were not just dealing with an unexpected military engagement, they were confronting the possibility that their entire understanding of warfare had been rendered obsolete. The human fleet, this phantom armada, was not just a group of warships, it was a message. The humans, once dismissed as insignificant, were now showing their true hand, and it was a hand that threatened the very core of the alien empire's power. As the section closes, the alien High Command is left in a state of shock and growing dread. They had believed themselves invincible, yet here they were, unable to even catch a glimpse of the enemy that was now advancing through their territory. The realization that they were facing a threat beyond their comprehension was beginning to take hold, and with it came the first stirrings of fear of an enemy they had underestimated for far too long. The aliens were accustomed to dominance, their superior technology and unchallenged position in the galaxy fostering an unwavering confidence. But as they struggled to locate and engage the elusive human fleet, that confidence began to erode. The humans, realizing the fear they had instilled, shifted tactics. It was no longer just about evading and striking, it was about breaking the enemy's spirit. The first signs of psychological warfare emerged when the aliens' communication networks, once impervious to any form of breach, began to falter. Human hackers, experts in cyber warfare, had infiltrated these networks with ease. Suddenly, alien broadcasts were interrupted by strange, cryptic messages. Voices, both inhuman and distorted, filled the airwaves, speaking in riddles and warnings. These messages were more than just noise. They were crafted to unsettle, to make the aliens question their safety, their control. Panic spread quickly. The alien populace, accustomed to the predictability and order of their society, found themselves grappling with an unknown force that seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at once. The messages were brief but chilling, suggesting an omnipresent enemy that knew their every move. Whispers of betrayal, of enemies within, began to circulate. The humans had planted seeds of doubt, and those seeds quickly took root. While the aliens scrambled to regain control of their communications, the humans escalated their campaign. Small, surgical strikes were carried out against critical infrastructure, energy grids, communication hubs, and supply depots. These attacks were not designed to cripple, but to disturb. Each strike was precise, inflicting just enough damage to be noticed, but never enough to provoke a full-scale counterattack. And every time the aliens attempted to respond, the humans vanished, leaving only confusion and fear in their wake. The unpredictability of these attacks bred paranoia. The aliens, once proud and fearless, were now haunted by the specter of an enemy they could not see or understand. Reports of phantom ships, invisible until the moment they struck, circulated among the ranks. The very idea of being hunted by such a force caused alien commanders to hesitate, their confidence shaken. Defensive measures were ramped up, but to no avail. The human fleet seemed to anticipate every move, striking where the aliens were weakest. As days turned into weeks, the strain on the alien leadership became palpable. The High Command, once a bastion of calm and authority, struggled to maintain order. Their forces were demoralized, their people terrified, and their infrastructure increasingly compromised. The humans had turned the battlefield into a psychological maze, and the aliens were hopelessly lost within it. What began as a military engagement had transformed into something far more insidious. The aliens were no longer fighting a war in the traditional sense. They were battling their own fear, their own doubts. Every action, every decision, was now influenced by the looming presence of the Phantom Armada. The once united alien race found itself splintering under the pressure, its leaders at odds over how to deal with a threat that defied their understanding. The High Command, previously confident in their superiority, now realized they were up against an enemy who had mastered not just the art of war, but the art of fear. The human fleet had used psychological tactics to turn the aliens' greatest strengths into weaknesses, exploiting their pride and certainty. The realization was a bitter one. This was not just a battle of ships and soldiers, but a battle for the very mind and soul of the alien empire. This section closes with the alien High Command facing a harsh truth. They were not just losing control of the war, they were losing control of their own people. The humans had managed to turn the tide without a full-scale engagement, and the aliens, now fully aware of the psychological onslaught, could do little more than brace themselves for what was to come. The war was no longer just about survival. It was about maintaining their very identity in the face of a relentless and unseen adversary. The humans had spent years preparing for this moment, a culmination of innovation, strategy, and a deep understanding of their enemy. At the heart of their plan was the Phantom Armada, a fleet unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. The key to the Armada's success lay in its cloaking technology, a breakthrough that had been developed in the utmost secrecy. This technology, the result of decades of experimentation and refinement, allowed the human ships to become nearly invisible to alien sensors. It wasn't just about bending light or masking energy signatures. This was a multi-layered system that rendered the ships undetectable across all known spectrums, making them appear and disappear at will. This cloaking technology wasn't simply a tool for evasion. It was the cornerstone of the human strategy. The humans knew that direct confrontation with the aliens' superior firepower would be suicidal, so they chose a different path. By remaining unseen, they could control the battlefield, dictate the terms of engagement, and strike with precision at the heart of the alien empire's vulnerabilities. The cloaking devices allowed them to move freely within enemy territory, gathering intelligence, selecting targets, and executing attacks without warning. The psychological impact of this was profound. The aliens were fighting an enemy they couldn't see, couldn't track, and couldn't predict. From the beginning, the humans had designed their campaign to do more than just inflict physical damage. They aimed to dismantle the aliens' confidence, to create an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty that would ripple through their entire society. The strategic planning behind the Phantom Armada's operations was meticulous. Every move was calculated to maximize impact with minimal risk. The humans chose their targets carefully, focusing on those that would cause the most psychological and strategic damage. Key infrastructure, communication hubs, and military outposts were hit in a series of rapid, coordinated strikes that left the aliens reeling. The humans understood that victory would not come from sheer force but from breaking the will of the alien forces to continue the fight. The Phantom Armada's role was to sow chaos, to make the aliens question their own strength, and to erode the morale of both their military and civilian populations. By the time the aliens realized what was happening, it was already too late. Their defenses were compromised, their leadership was in disarray, and their once unshakable confidence had turned into a deep-seated fear of the unseen enemy. Within the human command center, the leaders of the Phantom Armada reviewed their progress. The plan was unfolding exactly as they had anticipated. The aliens, who had once dominated the galaxy with their technological prowess, were now scrambling to defend themselves against an enemy they had vastly underestimated. The humans had succeeded in pushing the aliens into a state of complete disarray. Every piece of intelligence they had gathered, every strategic decision they had made, had led them to this point. The human leaders knew that the time was approaching for the final phase of their operation. The Phantom Armada had done its job, now it was time to deliver the decisive blow. They discussed the next steps with the confidence of those who had already won the war in their minds. The goal was clear: bring the alien empire to its knees, force them to acknowledge their defeat, and secure a future where humanity was no longer seen as a minor player on the galactic stage, but as a power to be respected and feared. As the final preparations were made, there was a sense of quiet determination among the human fleet. They had spent years preparing for this moment, and now they stood on the brink of victory. The aliens had been caught off guard, their arrogance and complacency exploited to devastating effect. The humans knew that they had the upper hand, and they were ready to capitalize on it. The final phase of their operation would be the culmination of all their efforts, a decisive strike that would leave no doubt about the outcome of the war. The section closes with the human fleet poised to deliver the final blow, their strategy having brought them to the brink of an unprecedented victory. The Phantom Armada, once a shadowy force on the fringes of the galaxy, was now ready to emerge as the decisive factor in a war that had already been won in the minds of those who had planned it. The humans, confident in their strategy and their technological edge, prepared to finish what they had started, knowing that the future of the galaxy would be forever changed by the outcome of their actions. The human fleet gathered in formation, the weight of the moment hanging heavily over every commander and crew member. This was the final stage of their meticulously planned campaign, the strike that would either cement their victory or lead to a devastating defeat. Every detail had been scrutinized, every possibility accounted for. There was no room for error. The Phantom Armada was ready, and as the final orders were given, the sense of purpose among the humans was palpable. They knew that this assault would determine the fate of the war, and possibly the future of humanity itself. The attack began with precision and ruthlessness. The Phantom Armada, using its advanced cloaking technology, executed a coordinated assault on the alien homeworld. Human ships appeared out of nowhere, striking at the heart of the alien empire with devastating accuracy. Critical military installations, command centers, and communication hubs were targeted in a series of lightning-fast strikes. The aliens, already reeling from weeks of psychological warfare, were utterly unprepared for the onslaught. Their defenses, once thought impregnable, crumbled under the relentless assault of the human fleet. The element of surprise was absolute. The alien forces, demoralized and scattered, struggled to mount any meaningful resistance. The human ships, invisible until the moment they attacked, moved with an efficiency that left the alien defenders in disarray. The coordinated strikes were devastating, hitting the most vulnerable points of the alien war machine. Within hours, the backbone of the alien military was broken. The once mighty empire, which had dominated the galaxy for millennia, was now facing its greatest crisis, brought to its knees by an enemy it had never truly understood. The systematic dismantling of the alien empire continued with brutal efficiency. The human fleet moved from one target to the next, leaving destruction in its wake. Military outposts, fleet yards, and orbital defenses were obliterated. The alien leadership, the very core of their power, was decimated in the opening hours of the attack. Command structures collapsed, and the remaining alien forces, leaderless and panicked, could do little more than watch as their empire was torn apart piece by piece. The humans, once dismissed as insignificant, were now the architects of the empire's ruin. As the assault progressed, the scale of the devastation became apparent. The aliens, who had once viewed themselves as invincible, were now forced to confront the reality of their situation. They had been outmaneuvered, outthought, and outclassed by the very species they had looked down upon. The Phantom Armada had turned their greatest strengths into weaknesses, exploiting every vulnerability with precision. The once glorious alien empire was now a shadow of its former self, its fleets decimated, its command shattered, and its people left in a state of shock and despair. The humans, having achieved their objectives, began to withdraw. The final phase of their operation was complete. They left behind a galaxy forever changed, a shattered empire that would never again pose a threat to humanity. The victory was total, the alien forces crippled beyond repair. The Phantom Armada had accomplished what many had thought impossible, delivering a crippling blow to the most powerful empire in the galaxy. The humans, once seen as weak and divided, had proven themselves to be a force to be reckoned with. As the human fleet retreated, the remnants of the alien empire were left to pick up the pieces. The war was over, but the consequences would be felt for generations. The aliens, now facing a future without their empire, were left to ponder the lessons of their defeat. The humans, victorious and resolute, had not just won a war, they had reshaped the balance of power in the galaxy. The final strike had been delivered, and with it, a new era had begun, one where humanity would no longer be seen as a minor player but as a dominant force in the galaxy. The section closes with the human fleet withdrawing, their mission accomplished. The alien empire, once the pinnacle of galactic power, lay in ruins. The Phantom Armada had fulfilled its purpose, leaving behind a galaxy that would never be the same again. The humans had proven their strength, their resolve, and their ability to triumph against even the greatest of odds. The war was over, but the legacy of the Phantom Armada would endure, a testament to what humanity was capable of when pushed to the brink. The aftermath of the battle was as devastating as it was inevitable. The alien empire, once the unchallenged ruler of vast swathes of the galaxy, was now in ruins. Their military, the pride of their civilization, lay in tatters. What remained of their once mighty fleets were scattered, leaderless, and ineffective. The strikes delivered by the Phantom Armada had been so precise, so utterly devastating, that the alien leadership was left with no choice but to concede defeat. The Empire's power structure, so carefully maintained for millennia, was now in shambles. The remaining alien leaders, those who had survived the onslaught, were forced to confront a harsh reality. They could no longer continue the fight. Recognizing the futility of further resistance, the aliens sued for peace. There was no grand negotiation, no drawn-out process. They were too broken, too demoralized to make demands. The terms were simple. They would cease all hostilities and recognize humanity as a sovereign power in the galaxy. It was an admission of defeat, a complete reversal of the arrogance that had once defined their interactions with Earth. For the aliens, it was a bitter pill to swallow, but there was no other choice. Their survival depended on it. Back on Earth, the news of the victory spread like wildfire. The Phantom Armada, which had operated in the shadows, was now celebrated as the force that had changed the course of galactic history. Humanity, once dismissed as a minor player, was now recognized as a formidable power. The sense of triumph was palpable. This was more than just a military victory. It was a validation of humanity's resilience, ingenuity, and ability to rise to any challenge. The world watched in awe as the story of the Phantom Armada was told and retold, each retelling cementing their place in history. The victory had far-reaching implications. Humanity's status in the galaxy was irrevocably altered. No longer would they be seen as a weak, divided species. They had proven themselves capable of not only defending their home but of taking the fight to an enemy far more powerful than themselves. The message was clear: humanity was a force to be reckoned with. The other races of the galaxy, who had once watched Earth's struggles with indifference, now took notice. Alliances shifted, and the balance of power began to change as the reality of humanity's strength became impossible to ignore. As the dust settled, the legacy of the Phantom Armada began to take shape. The alien race, now humbled and reflective, pondered the consequences of their arrogance. They had underestimated humanity, dismissed them as insignificant, and paid the price for their hubris. The lesson was stark: never again would they, or any other species, take Earth lightly. The Phantom Armada had done more than win a war, it had reshaped the very fabric of interstellar relations. For humanity, the victory was both a triumph and a turning point. The Phantom Armada became a symbol of what was possible when technology, strategy, and human determination were combined. It was a testament to the strength that lay not just in advanced weaponry but in the will to fight, the courage to stand against impossible odds, and the ingenuity to turn the tide. The story of the Phantom Armada was taught in schools, studied by military academies, and revered by future generations as a defining moment in human history. As the galaxy adjusted to the new reality, humanity looked to the future with a mixture of confidence and caution. The victory had been hard-won, and the challenges ahead were many. But they were ready. The final note of the story was one of quiet triumph, not of boastful pride but of a deep-seated knowledge that they had earned their place among the stars. The Phantom Armada had proven what humanity was capable of, and now, as they prepared for the next chapter in their galactic journey, they did so with the knowledge that they had the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead.